In order to get to a little playground with a wooden boat structure in it, where I would go in the evenings and smoke my joints and feel melancholy, I would walk down this aisle, dodging bleary catcalls and errant pigeons, avoiding the dog-walking perverts who would whisper hungrily. Many evenings I reached the park embarrassed in twilight. I climbed the rope that led up to the deck, and I'd sit around and listen to music and feel desperate. My feelings confused me, and then I was confused by my confusion. And despite, or maybe because of, the ample attention that I got from the slack-jawed male population of Milan, I felt ugly. Despite my large bedroom with the high ceilings and comfy bed, I felt hard done by in some unsettling way. I hadn't tuned into my constant state of morphogenesis of my environment. In retrospect, I understand how developing in an unequal culture breeds instability and an unsound mental state. Growing and becoming acquainted with life is challenging, and doing so in the hub of structural systemic prejudices and double standards is often traumatic. What it's like for a flowering young mind to be bombarded with material glitz and poverty, to gradually make the understanding somewhere that the maintaining of one's abhorrent consumerist lifestyle is causal to the suffering of others. How is one to become a well-adjusted adult when one is born into this perverse civilization, the foundations and manifestations of which appear to be so concrete and unshakable, imprisoning our imaginations? I guess a lot of us feel like we have no choice but to allow ourselves to become institutionalized, rather than face the fact that we do not live morally complete lives, and that the competition-infused rhetoric that has been woven into our understanding of the world is destructive and dysfunctional. The option we do not realize we have is to lay down our vanities and to begin relinquishing the liberties we have been taking at the expense of our global community. But with our imaginations held captive by trauma, it isn't easy to envision the possibilities of a cooperation-based society in which gainful employ can be found outside of a monetary framework of reference. As the Joker said in The Dark Knight, nobody panics when things are going to plan, even if the plan is horrifying. In my understanding of reality, the moment calls for inspiration through empathy. I have been fortified enough through my empathetic experiences to embrace new tools with which to interact with reality. And this has revolutionized and improved the quality of my life. I hold that a real revolution is when foundations are toppled and new systems are built from scratch. Not when one spokesperson for apologists for greed and fear gets executed so that a new one can take their place. The value system remains only to manifest itself through a slightly altered mass psychosis, and there is no revolution, or just a bunch of scrabbling at gates and heads rolling. Everybody I have met can recount some traumatic childhood experience, usually several. Nobody has ever said to me, yeah, I had a really great childhood. No form of abuse or neglect or playground violence whatsoever, and not been in denial. If we can't stop traumatizing each other from birth, how can we relax enough to interact with each other in a meaningful way, to empathize with our friends and our lovers? I feel our culture needs to update and upgrade its understanding of communication, agriculture, economics. We as a race have the need to evolve past the draconian parameters syphilis-addled megalomaniacs established in the early 1900s and pull ourselves out of the dark ages.